Neuroplasticity coming at you quick. Welcome back to another day of Make It Stick. Donkey. All right, what are the 14 claims the authors make in Make It Stick? Let's do it. Watch this. Hey, watch this. All right. There's a direct relationship between the amount of effort and the effectiveness of learning. 2, we are often poor judges of when we are learning. 3, rereading and mass practice are among the most popular techniques across domains, yet evidence shows that they are possibly not very effective learning techniques or strategies. 4, retrieval practice is more effective than rereading and reviewing notes. 5, interleaved and spaced retrieval practice leads to retrieval practices that is more effortful, which may make you think you're learning less, but in reality, it's more effective. 6, all right, come on now. What do we got for 6? Attempting to solve a problem or to perform a skill before learning how to do it leads to deeper learning once you do learn how to do it. 7, there is no evidence to support the idea that sticking with a preferred mode of or style of learning resource, such as purely auditory, if you think you're an auditory learner, visually, if you're a visual learner, etc., is not supported to be effective for learning. What has been shown to be effective for learning, however, is going broad, getting a mix of different types of learning resources. 8, the ability to discriminate between the underlying principles that differ, that make something too closely related things different and distinguishes them, is a skill that can be trained through interleaved and varied practice and can lead to leads to an ability to better discriminate among more closely related things in the future. Okay, 9. Okay. All learning requires previous learning. All learning requires previous learning. 10. Dang it, I had it too. Okay, here we go. Illusions of knowing. Like, we're all susceptible to illusions of knowing, thinking that we have more knowledge or skill than we do, potentially thinking we have less knowledge or skill than we do, and that we can better calibrate our actual understanding of our own abilities through testing. There's no known limit to how much we can learn if we use elaboration. The bigger the picture you have of your mental model about the world and how these things relate, the more information you have about the world, the bigger picture you have, your worldview, or your understanding of the world. Essentially, the more information you have to add new information to connect new information to, the more efficient learning is. 13. A characteristic of deep expertise and mastery is the ability to distill a subject or resource to its underlying principles, build a mental model from those principles, and then apply that mental model and connect it with other mental models. Finally, 14. Learning physically changes the brain. We can become smarter. There you go. Yeah, that's how you memorize stuff right there. I don't think I've seen that in like a week. When's the next time I'll see it? 16 days. Next time I'll see it. There we go. Thank you, Wonky, for your great aid. How much battery you got here? We're good. All right. Now, I already kind of recalled what we did yesterday. Or I recall I didn't learn anything new yesterday. I spent time recalling. It was kind of my day off. So today I'm just gonna go ahead and jump right into the reading. What we would have read last is about that Washington University professor and adding more tests leading to more learning in his class and better student outcomes and enjoyment. Okay, I've already outlined that twice. If you want to hear more about it, go into previous videos, the past two videos. There's people in my apartment that are painting the hallways, and my place is starting to smell like chemicals, and it's, unfortunate. But if I can get through today when I'm tired and it smells like chemicals and I'm kind of short of breath from it, I can get through it any day. And it's enjoyable for me. So I'll be back in a few minutes with my recall. All right, just read the beginning of the next subsection. Exploring nuances, and this first section was kind of like saying that Andy Sobel, like the professor, Washington University professor story, is anecdotal, but there's been a lot of studying on the testing effect to tease apart, what techniques and what changes actually lead to improved results. And they kind of, in this first paragraph also, were kind of said that accrued knowledge from continuous cumulative quizzing or testing within a course is like analogous to compounding interest, or like a network effect. So I thought that was pretty nice to hear. I like that. I think it's cool. Then they talked about a study that just showed, basically, in college students studying prose literature of scientific information, basically immediate testing, or just testing in general, leads to more learning and slower forgetting. I think that's just kind of the general idea there. And I thought it was of note that it's not like a night and day difference. Like, we're talking like 68% recall versus 52%, or like 52% versus like 40%, It's really not, mind-blowing binary, but if you increase, your retention rate by 10 to 15 to 20 to 30% over long periods of time, that's an enormous difference in the long term. In the short term, it's like, 10%, 20%, whatever. Over a year of daily learning, that's like, orders of magnitude. You learn 10 times more by the end of the year. So I think that's the long game is where the rates show their greatest effect, and why there's such a big deal. Okay. Yep. All right. Let's get into the next part of this. I'll be back in a sec. All right, guys. Just wrapped up another section of this exploring nuances subsection, and this was all about feedback. So they start at this feedback section by saying, testing plus getting feedback leads to better learning results than just testing alone. So it's not just the act of testing that leads to learning, it's also the act of getting feedback and seeing where you made errors. Okay, so that's that. And then the rest of the section was basically talking about delayed versus immediate feedback, and kind of just saying broadly, very abstractly, very generally, that delayed feedback leads to better learning than immediate feedback in both, written learning and motor skill learning. And that's me. I got a lot of questions. Well, what does delayed mean compared to immediate? Like, what's the time frame here? I can see immediate, but what does immediate mean? What are we talking about feedback? When we're playing the guitar, playing the same piece over and over again, am I getting feedback every time I play it? Are we talking just when like a teacher corrects my form? talking both things. I think we're talking potentially both things. And what is delayed? Where's the optimal time for delaying? Like if I'm playing a guitar piece, is it like, I record it without hearing it and then I listen back to it, or like I will listen to it back the next day? Or so before I get into like, implementing this kind of delayed feedback into my own world, my own life, my own learning system, I'm going to need to learn more information about it. But the general idea is they're going to make an argument here that delayed feedback has been shown to be more effective for learning than immediate feedback, generally, broadly. Okay. There's some theories behind this. One theory is that like if you keep doing something over and over again and you get immediate feedback, this like ability to do it over and over again and get immediate feedback becomes like a part of the thing you're learning, when in reality, like when you have to pull this thing out in the real world, you don't get to do it over and over. You get like one shot. So it's kind of a different thing. There's also the theory that that was just the playing it over again, like over and over, it becomes part of the skill itself that you're training. Another theory would be that delaying the feedback actually leads to like a spacing effect, which will be in chapter 3. The next chapter we'll talk about spaced repetitions, it said, and the benefits of spaced reps. There's another reason though. This is also another vague point by the authors, and that was that too much immediate feedback and stopping doing the practice, and with and having to keep changing form over and over again, and having to stop and like think and change the form instead of just playing, like leads to practice that is too variable. Okay, so there's a spectrum of variable practice. Some's too variable, some's not variable enough. There's a sweet spot. But we'll be talking more about variable practice in the next chapter as well, I believe. So, yeah, another day of Make It Stick. We learned about feedback today, delayed versus immediate feedback. And what was the first section we talked about exploring nuances? So we talked about compound interest analogy, and that the attesting effect leads to more learning and less or slower forgetting. All right, that's it for today. Another day in the books. Talk to you guys later. See ya.